position. So, first picks are coming out, and, well, they are looking a little bit standardized to begin with until that one. Capital back in now. He took a bit of a vacation from the meta for a while.
Well, when you extract grenades from an operator, that is a huge reason for the esports scene to, just completely dump him. Grenades are very useful, not just for killing people, but moreover for clearing out barbed wire or any sort of utility that the defensive team is set up to stop you from taking the site. So, yeah, he did take a vacation, but it seems, I'm guessing based upon Capital pick here, they probably have a specific idea or plan for him. So maybe they're going to try and cut off different areas of the map because that's what he's good for. He can not only lay down those firebolts to deny hard rotations in through doorways, he can also, on top of them, lay down smokes. So you're blocking visual holds as well as just, rotating back into the site. So I'm guessing they have a dedicated plan for that. They don't have a buck, which is somewhat interesting for me considering they're going to be attacking train first, not top floor. And buck can be very useful. They do have a sledge in that same sense where he can open up that floor, but we'll see if that works out well enough for them. We're going to be
a lot of that floor is actually being opened up for them by Talon with the shotgun, so there's going to be a lot of bottom-up play from the defending team on holding that piano, so we'll see how that shapes up for them.
I think that was an interesting decision, especially given that they put a double mirror on that wall, and I'm guessing they're going to probably want to open one of those up so that they can shoot through one of them and use the other one just to, get the peekers, the instant peek. But it is kind of interesting that they're going to open up above when they are playing the mirror like that. They don't have a pulse. Ooh.
Very nice shot from BKN. Takes it out exclusive very quickly. Wasn't through a smoke or anything either, so exclusive was well within his capabilities to shot back, but did not. Both those mirrors are actually closed at the moment. He's just using it for a long line of vision inside the site.
He'll probably open one up eventually when he starts needing to challenge someone. But yeah, great thing about that glass scope is not only that you can see through smokes, but it also makes it really easy to spot anyone regardless of if there's smoke or not.
Yeah. Upstairs though, Sov was in the toilet. He has since had to move back as Justin was the last man left upstairs. He is now rotated down a bit more as well himself. So the attack has slowed up slightly.
We did lose Talon, but I believe that we'll probably be playing the round out, given that it's progressed so far.
More smoke grenades into the red corridor gives Jarvis gives the Glaz another safe peek through. Jarvis still droning white stairs, and they have got control of piano. I think a little bit easier than they expected. The C4 holes you can see there in the floor went off, but no damage done.
And it's interesting, they have a Habana here, but they have not opened up the reinforced drop down, and it doesn't look like that's something they're trying to do. 1 minute left on the clock here, and they're not even, Habana's nowhere near it. So it's going to be, I'm guessing, just a straight up site take. Glaz has pushed his way through the red stairs hallway, past the Miras, and is not being challenged at all.
No, they don't seem to know that he's there. Sovs wasn't in there until just now. Justin, though, comes down, jumping over red stairs, takes out BKM before BC will trade him back. Deliken has been down inside reading room, but Sov is alone now against 4. He's looking to potentially go and get the revive off in his squad mate, but Jarvis is on the white staircase, not quite in his sight here, trying to hold the door. The door, which is reinforced, by the way, so Sov can't get through it. Now on the far side, Brian is breaching holes in. They don't know Deliken's down, so they're looking for it, but the plant has gone through. There's Sov's up to the door, shut down from behind by Brian as Chap finishes off Deliken, and the round will end.
It's a very calculated take from Ominous. They didn't really risk very much at all. They set themselves up in positions to kill the peeking defenders. The only aggressive plays they really made were taking piano, which they weren't challenged very much on. And that is, I think, honestly what cost OS. But yeah, taking piano and then that Glaz pushing straight into Red Hall. And that didn't really change much of anything, the Glaz being there. He did end up dying without getting a pick at that point. But or he got the one early in the round, but on that aggressive push, he didn't get a pick. And yeah, just kind of fell apart for Onslaught.
So, time now for Ominous to begin their defense. And they are going upstairs first. This is more familiar in the competitive scene. Top floor has been the go-to choice for most squads. They are once again bringing Mirror to the table, and they are covering these wall-in reinforcements. We'll often see the walls where Chap and Jarvis are right now having the mirror windows on, one directly next to the other, so they can, as you mentioned, open one and shoot through the other. But Jarvis is putting them one inside the toilet, and is making the rotate hole inside the freezer now. Slowly, because that shotgun is very slow at doing it.
Yeah, I think it only has like, what, 5 bullets?
5 bullets, and
Yeah.
it's got one of the slowest reloads in the game, and actually makes pretty small holes as far as shotguns go.
Yeah, it is kind of a bummer for that sort of thing, but it gets the job done. You know, as a secondary, that's about as much as you can expect. They're being very cautious here on this attack. Onslaught not wanting to take any risks at all. Now, it's interesting that Blackbeard has to do that, though. There should probably be a drone in the kitchen to
There is. You
tell
can see
him.
it there in the doorway, actually.
Yeah.
Underneath that main door, there were drones just holding the angle. So the fact that he's still so cautious about the windows is strange.
Should have a teammate calling that for him so he doesn't have to spend any more time on this. There are already 40 seconds off the clock. It's kind of deceptive because they've only just escaped their spawn, but we're already down to 2/3 of the round.
So, BKN on that pulse is hiding down and underneath the site, using this heartbeat sensor to check the repels and check what's out there on the air conditioning units. He's cautious of all the sides and all the windows, and probably a little bit confused right now as to where most of them are, as he's only got the one heartbeat sense outside. The others we now know to be up mainly on the roofs, apart from Exclusive there hanging on a window. And it does look like Ominous are actually willing to give up a lot of the piano side of this top floor pretty easily. However, Onslaught don't seem to be ready to take real advantage of this yet. They are still very slowly approaching the side of the building. BKN still below. BC is actually pinned in that corner. He is being spotted by the Glaz and will not win that fight. He was hiding in the smoke as if it wasn't a hard enough angle already.
That was a
The
pre-planned.
firebolt was there to pin that Jaeger into the corner. And now they've lost a man to try and hold this room. Minute 25 on the clock, and okay, Onslaught started off slow and still feels like they're a little bit slow. But they are actually starting to make some significant progress towards this site.
They're just being cautious is all, but that pre-planned pick from Glaz was, and the Capital bolt to hold that Jaeger in the corner was beautiful.
Heartbeat sensed on the red stairs, couple above him.
They're conscious of the fact that Pulse is playing here. They're being very cautious, not pushing straight on into him and not exposing themselves to C4 at all. If the drop down in Cigar were open, Pulse would probably be able to get 2 kills pretty easily at this moment.
Right now he is just tracking their heartbeats using the sensor he's got in hand. Smoke grenades pinning these two in. Nice shot from Talon, takes Brian out just as Capital sprints through the smoke. They are planting inside that site. The call does not seem to have gone through. Mira's going to push forward. Talon looks away at the wrong moment and will lose his life for it. Jarvis has picked up a kill onto... sorry, Jarvis is that, but Justin and Delican picked up 2 kills each. Now Jarvis is the only man standing. The diffuser has been planted. BCK was picked off downstairs by the Hebana who was watching the flank. Sov is still repelled outside, and Exclusive is sitting on the diffuser. Delican upstairs above the hatch of the skylight in Blackbeard's favourite spot isn't needed, as Justin will pick up the kill in red stairs.
So, Onslaught's first attack, and so far we've seen 2 attack wins, 1 for each team. In counter to Ominous's attack, Onslaught's was very much more calculated and slow. They didn't really rush themselves into anything. They spent a lot of time holding every possible angle, and it just paid off for them. They had that beautiful pre-planned pick from Glaz. He knew exactly where he needed to be aiming. Capital was on top of keeping the Jaeger in the corner. That's 1 free pick for them. And then from there, they just kind of took it slow and worked with what they knew they were dealing with. A player playing from the B-bomb. There's going to be a pulse underneath, and they just kept it all contained. They didn't leave anything exposed, except for Piano, but that was, at that point, the round was pretty much over.
So, time for Onslaught to defend, and they are going straight upstairs. Despite not successfully holding down below, they do not wish to give it another shot straight away. See if this is played into their hand or not. Ominous, were you expecting them to go to the same location? Are you okay with bringing these attacking operators to this upper floor? Or will this have thrown a spanner in the works? Double rotate holes made into Freezer here, and you see this is what I was talking about with Talon before. Both mirror windows next to each other. One will likely be opened. Probably the one in the toilet.
They have those unreinforced walls next to them, so I'm guessing that maybe the plan is... You could open one, but I think maybe the plan is just to shoot through the wall. We'll see what they do. It's interesting to me that they're doing both. So usually a team or anybody really playing Mira will pick between either A, putting 2 mirrors next to each other and opening one, or B, having an unreinforced wall next to a reinforced wall so that you can play it in the same sense. But they've done both.
They've done both, exactly, yeah. So, I mean, it does put another bit of fear into the enemy attackers, right? Is he going to peek through the wall? Is he going to peek through the open window? Like, there's a fear there. But with so many soft surfaces from the piano, they've got to be very comfortable with not dying and being able to hold that room.
Well, from a lot of teams, what we've been seeing on this upstairs attack, the point of contention has shifted somewhat from simply being the freezer wall, because a lot of teams have realized if you open up that freezer wall, the defenders have a hard 90-degree angle to hold on you to pretty easily, well, hold the top floor.
This is a very nice angle coming out here for BKN's Glass. Out on this tower, which rarely gets used, he's got a hole into reading room and then a hole into laundry as well. So it's a very long sightline.
Cut off so much of the map here with this, and this is something that we haven't seen from any other team before.
Is watching towards the door and watching towards reading. Should anyone be pushed into there? I think they know Castle's around. You can tell from the drones and the repels that they are angling towards this location. And actually, this is what it is. They want to go into A, and they're covering the drop. If he drops through laundry,
it's beautiful.
If that Echo dropped, he'd have fallen straight into Glass, but he manages to walk straight out away instead. There is a Delican inside Blueprint corridor. Echo manages to get himself skirted out and away, and has managed to slip himself away and out of the trap.
Unfortunately, which is reinforced, so there won't be any defenders dropping.
Yeah. So, let's see what the banner charges are going off inside. Onslaught have switched up and pushed their defense towards this side of the map. They are getting quite bunched up for it. Ominous ready for that.
There are a lot of castle barricades that are going to be working in the favor of Ominous in this particular attack.
Firebolt's not quite lining up well enough to do damage to Delican here. Sovs, however, inside the freezer is taken low. Jarvis does get taken out as BC comes around. Talon will finish Justin off with a team kill. BC picking up the kill on Delican, but that does mean the diffuser is down inside. Mira just around the corner. Can't come in and finish the person off until he gets shot in the back by Brian. Echo drone taken out quickly after the repel. Brian now on the white stairs will come on in. 2 defenders left alive, but the diffuser has been picked up. They do try to push on through, but BC was ready for him as he couldn't actually get the plant down when he thought he would, and is now in a 1v5 for exclusive. Very quickly picked up by Chap, who was waiting for him inside the bump.
So a very unique attack from Ominous. They did something that we haven't actually seen before. It didn't work for them with having the Glass waiting for somebody to drop there, given that the drop was, well, reinforced. But the way that they handled that site was really well done in the sense that it was counter to everything Onslaught was expecting, clearly. Because Onslaught set up a lot of their castle barricades in a way that was detrimental to holding from those windows. They had a castle barricade on Cigar, which meant they couldn't pressure anyone coming from the red stairs or piano. That whole area was cut off. And then they had a castle barricade on the far freezer door, which meant that they could only peek through the rotation hole they made in freezer and the close door with the door that was, well, right next to that rotation hole. So they were kind of cut off. They had just 3 avenues to get to them, or to get to the attacking team. And because Ominous was so patient with their take, they just waited for the picks that they needed initially to get in, and it was pretty much just cut and dried from there.
Ominous then looking for the same hold that they did before. Let's see if they can keep it any stronger than last time. BC, of course, picked off from that corner by Glass very early on, lost control of piano from that point, and were then just countered and picked apart by Onslaught methodically. But they know roughly what to expect now. They know where this attack's going to come from. BKN is going to expect a person on that staircase waiting for his flank this time. So how do they choose to counter it? Well, it looks like they may not have to, as already we're seeing a slight change from Onslaught's attack, which is looking very familiar to the previous round. They head up towards the east side of the building, towards the A-bomb site instead.
You have to wonder, is this something that Onslaught anticipated in the attack that we saw from Ominous, or are they adapting on the fly? It doesn't seem like it was something they were anticipated, given the way that they handled it on defense. But
they've also brought exactly the same operators they use when they attack the other side of the site.
Right.
Now, could that be, as you say, these are what they used to use when attacking this
could just be
site, but now they're trying to use it in a different fashion.
Right. It could just be a straight up on the fly adjustment here, and that's what it seems. That's what it looks like, because same operators, simply just a different area of the map.
No, Sovs is inside reading room and actually gets the first kill on BKN as he tries to rotate through from mining room to this side of the map when they realized the attack was coming off instead. So without the Glass outside to look through from reading, they put Sov inside, and that's worked out for them too. He was being droned for by Delican too, so that helped it for him. And I believe they spotted Brian on the staircase too, which is why they chose to fall back a little way. Have they though found BC, who's over by mining room?
I think
Do
both.
see someone just got downed. Yeah, OJ, just for Jarvis rather, just got downed inside A, has fallen through the trapdoor and is inside laundry, down but not out.
I don't think they know.
I don't think they realize either. No, they haven't pushed for it. The sledge is not doing anything about it. BC may be going to revive him, but if Sovs finds him, this could be catastrophic for the defending squad, who only have 3 players left standing right now. Sovs finds Jarvis. There we go. He's finished him off now through the wall. I think they were aware Deliken's drone perhaps found him. They sledged the wall and saw him in there. BC now looking to pressure into reading. He knows at least Sovs is in here, but is he aware of the second person? Justin's there. BC creeping through the doorway. Does get one, but Sovs is immediately there to trade him back. Justin is down, and that means Sov is now alone on this floor. Upstairs, Bandit and Smoke, the last 2. Brian on that staircase, just going to get spotted by Sovs, but too late. Brian will shut him out. He and Smoke now holding the A site as a pairing. Deliken's in there, is being choked out by the smoke itself. Exclusive though is the man with the diffuser, and he's got 40 seconds to get it to a bomb site. Blackbeard inside on the bomb now, is in a very, very dangerous position for the defenders to deal with. Flashbangs himself, a little bit awkward as the smokes continue to come out. Exclusive cannot sit in there and tank that one as Chapstick takes the Blackbeard down with the smoke grenade. Looks for Exclusive now, stops the plant. This might be great, 20 seconds to go. Talon is now the only attacker left alive, and he is stuck on this window. Cannot repel in as there's 2 people looking his way. All Bandit has to do, all they have to do is hide on in here as Chap will get the free kill as that repel comes through the window, and somehow Ominous hold that round.
It was a great duo between Bandit and Chapstick, really holding it out. Like you said, Bandit on that wide stairs peak. Unfortunately, Sledge, while he did open up the round initially for his team by getting those 2 picks, he ended up getting taken out by Bandit because he wasn't paying enough attention to the top of those stairs. But I want to talk more about the strategy. The way that Onslaught decided to take that was very similar to Ominous, extremely so. It did seem kind of like an on-the-fly adaptation, given that they weren't doing this, the same exact thing that they did with Ash and Glass, opening up that full line of sight. They instead opted to just push their sledge into reading. But I have to question whether that was a better decision or not. It might have been. The way that Onslaught handled that, it might have been better because, sure, it was less contained. It relied a little bit more on Sledge doing a good job inside the building than it did on simply Glaz watching for the flank and being ready. Then, you know, he didn't really need to do anything in there on Ominous' take. But at the same time, Sledge did do that. He did perform. He did get the pick. So it ended up playing out better for them, even though they didn't win that round. He played a more influential role than Glaz did in Ominous' take.
As it matters though, Onslaught are down 3 rounds to 1 with Ominous sitting comfortably in the lead. Ominous have brought a very different set of attacking operators from what we've seen from them for the last 2 attempts.
No Glaz?
One of which doesn't really fit attacking this middle floor bomb site, this train room bomb site.
Are you
This being
thinking
the
thermite?
thermite, exactly. Yeah. They may not have been expecting this to be in this location.
It might be the case that they didn't expect it this location. It might also be the case that they have something new up their sleeves. I was going to say maybe a white stairs take and open up the B wall, but based upon their spawns, I'm guessing that's not very likely. I think you're right. I think they did just get a little caught off guard by a train pick.
Yeah, there's no reinforcements other than in that B site to be used or blown. They got a Hibana for the hatch. I think they were just expecting top floor, you're right. So we'll see though how they handle it instead. Thermite, since his changes to his weapon, is not the utility-only operator that some people previously thought. He's actually pretty good with fragging now, as that gun has got very strong.
It's not necessarily, maybe not as good as Hibana's gun or Ash's gun for just shooting people, but if you can hit headshots, it's similar to the L85 where it has basically no recoil at its current state.
Yeah, so Justin has been found by Jarvis. He knows he's around on this floor, and Jarvis is trying to spray through these tight angles and catch a little bit of lucky damage onto Justin. Won't manage it this time, but Justin is now aware that he has been spotted out. They will play around this. He will bait them. He will waste their time. He will force them to kind of deal with him as much as he can. And he also has Sovs up on this floor to help him momentarily. Jarvis then keeping an eye from that trapdoor, as from that skylight, as Brian will drop down and in and open up the wall into Piano. Takes out that camera as Sovs will now spray across towards Cigar. BC's in there, BKN's in there too. This floor is now well and truly under Ominous control until Sovsovs can do anything about it. He is currently very much pinned in that small side area of the bar.
And Valkyrie's kind of abandoned him a little bit. He's
Yep.
all alone now.
He has, however, picked up one good kill of his own, taking Brian out. So he's given himself an opening of freedom to move. He can now pay attention to this blueprint corridor instead of paying attention to multiple angles. He does see the shots come through. The grenade is there, and this is his way out. Drops down through the hatch. They realize now that he is gone. They're going to watch the white stairs, but the C4 from below is there. Justin, using the camera he had left up, using the information that they were pushing onto that castle, taking out another attacker. Ominous's attack is down now to 3 players, looking for all 5 defenders still standing. BKN starting to push towards the site. Jarvis is just going to stick the piano upstairs and look for the shots down through the floor. Does take a tag from Talon, can't return any damage himself, but Deliken has been downed, so it is only 4 until that moment where Deliken is revived. BKN inside the site misses a shot into Talon, is now covering the plant as Chapstick is pushing it through. Talon takes down Jarvis, and Justin with the flank takes down BKN and Chap for a beautiful defense from Onslaught.
That was a beautiful defense from Onslaught, absolutely. They set up a trap and Ominous fell right on into it. It seemed like Ominous had taken control of that particular round, but it just ended up not going that way. Sovsov with the pick on Ash in Cigar, cut the Ominous attack off in the middle, and then after that he just simply walked away. And as the Ominous team came in to realize that, oh gosh, castle's gone, Valkyrie with an excellent C4 from underneath, just totally winning the round. I think it was pretty much over as soon as he got that second pick there. Not enough time on Ominous's side. They did only take control of top floor with less than a minute left. So kind of a bit of a slow take from Ominous, and again, a really well played trap by Onslaught.
Yeah, let's see if they can attack as successfully then and get this back onto level ground, or if Ominous have their plan solidified for defense. Straight up, reinforcing this red stairs corridor wall, something which Onslaught left completely open, and in fact made a shotgun hole all the way through it. So a very big difference there. I did like it too. It helped them win. That flank from Chapstick was allowed to happen because of that hole. Upstairs, they're going to hold it very firmly with Jarvis's mirror and this similar rotate holds if they were holding the top floor bomb site as is. This is just how you hold the piano.
Yeah, I have said it before, and I think it's what we saw just now again with Onslaught, is the way they were handling that round. Is sometimes with Train, it's better to, instead of sitting on the site and trying to anchor and trying to just hard hold it, it's better to play a very dynamic roaming game, similar to what we saw with Onslaught, and to open up the site so that you have more maneuverability when you're on that retake. So you open up the red hall into sight. That means anyone coming from underneath red stairs, which is not something that attackers can very easily cover, can then influence the site in any way. So say you're getting a bomb plant down, like what we saw with Ominous there, or say just you're pushing into the site, or maybe you're playing on the top red stairs. Anybody coming from bottom red stairs is going to have a pretty good chance of dealing with you.
Now, straight up onto the roof again goes Onslaught. They will start to drone on through and drop down in a moment. The defenders, however, from Ominous are ready and waiting. Brian and Jarvis on the upper floor are those two. Brian has already taken a bit of damage, I believe, from the skylight because he is inside the freezer there, but will hold firm. Pre-fire on the windows as Sovsov is getting help from Exclusive's Capital, so there's the doorway. They saw the bandit battery that was hidden on top of that trapdoor. Sometimes you can get a lucky free set of pellets or a thermite charge if they're really blind, but hey, there's not many other places Brian wants to put his batteries at the moment. The push is coming through as Glad starts to smoke the door. We'll look through. Let's look for that yellow lights. BC is there and puts his head right in Talon's crosshairs. He will drop for it. Sovs has killed Jarvis. Brian, though, is still inside the room. He does get one kill onto Sovsov with his final bullet. Looking now for Talon. Talon looking right over the far side. Doesn't think about Freezer. Gets away with it this time, but the C4 from below is there for BKN. Held him in place just long enough that the heartbeat sensor was there. The Lycan just about skips away with his life too, as his back of his head skimmed by bullets from Pulse. Means Exclusive has to return to that red stair hatch, and there's no one there for it. Timing's not quite right. 3v3 as we hit a minute on the clock now. Ominous, with a little bit of a hectic defense, have managed to scramble and stabilize. Onslaught's push, which looked strong, picked up a couple of quick kills. It's been picked apart, and they now seem a bit lost and confused. Lycan around here by the B wall. Is the thermite that can breach through it? They're bringing Exclusive to join him. They don't quite have Justin yet, but this is clearly not their original plan. So will they be able to execute it well? 30 seconds on the clock. Spray's coming through into the reading room wall. Delican has to start breaching this now. Ryan's around there to the right-hand side. He's going to pre-fire it. Gets Delican down. They can't get in through that wall anymore. They have to go through the doorways. This looks to be Onslaught's round in every way. Brian gets another kill to make sure of it. Exclusive's going to push for him. Does get the kill onto him. Has 2 more to find. Won't even get 1. BKN secures the last one. Puts Ominous onto map point.
So, like you said, a little bit more of a chaotic defense from Ominous. The way they handled it was dissimilar to Onslaught in almost every way. Onslaught, they set up a trap. They played lightly upstairs, but they still played upstairs. They waited for the enemy team. Onslaught, or Ominous on the other hand, what they did is they set up a wall. And sure, they traded blow for blow. The round stalled out at 3-3, but they totally messed up every plan that Onslaught had. Obviously, as we saw, they had to move over to white stairs and try to get a thermite plant into the B wall, which would have worked if they had control of reading. But obviously, they didn't think that far into the future in this particular strat, given that it was on the fly. So, kind of a weird round from Ominous, but they did win it. So, props to them.
Time then for Onslaught to head back onto the top floor for another attempt at defending here. We saw a A-site attack, a well-thought-out A-site attack from Ominous last time over. Will they be able to execute such a thing again, or are they going to go back to something a bit more standardized? Once more, they're bringing similar shaped-up operators to do it.
So what's funny is actually, before I saw the attack on upstairs from both these teams, I was talking about points of contention and how they've shifted from opening up that freezer wall to opening up the doorway in Cigar and maybe even the wall next to that doorway and trying to plant near the desks over there in the open instead of trying to take control of freezer and then plant. It just let the defensive team have freezer. But both of these teams have seemed to completely switch that up and just instead, let's try and go back to taking A. Let's go from the windows. We don't need to, force ourselves into Cigar and Piano. And it's been working for, well, it's been working for Ominous, not so much Onslaught, but it is a really interesting, fresh take on this particular bomb site.
Once again, these walls being opened into Reading and into Laundry for BKN's Glaz. He droned it first as well while they were being opened up, and then I'm sure he'll head up to that sniper tower. It does look like to be that same A attack then coming out here. But once more, that trapdoor has been reinforced, and no one's going to drop through that, just like we saw last time.
Yeah.
Chapstick, however, is spraying in his Hibana charges. Where did they land? What was he shooting that at? Was it the freezer wall? I think so. Don't hear them burning, so it's not a whole lot. Either way, BKN has realized that he's coming down and off of that spot and will once again start to drone. Yeah, I have no idea where they went. Maybe they were just to take out a trophy system that thought might have been in there, but
yeah,
not sure.
So Glaz has other uses than just catching people coming down that drop on that position, but he's not especially useful, and I think him getting off that position is just him acknowledging, okay, yeah, they're not going to use the drop, they're going to reinforce it every round, so I may as well not play here anymore. Ominous is taking this very slowly. They've already got half the round pretty much taken out of the round. And there's not been a single pick for either one of these teams, not one single engagement. They've just kind of been dancing around each other. They know where the defenders know where the attackers are coming from, and the attackers are not getting peeked at all. So there aren't really any options opening up for them here.
So we do start to see a little bit of movement inside. Delican ducks himself away as the grenades start to come in from Jarvis, perfectly timed, but the next one goes through and actually does down Delican. He's going to be revived here by Exclusive, though. It gets him back up with a little bit of health to steal, but then will be shut straight back down by Jarvis. Soft trades BC out, though, in exchange, and they lose their Glaz at the same prime. So it is 3 versus 4 in favor of defense. However, the plant's going down. It's on top of the reinforced trapdoor, so it's actually helping the attack right now. Exclusive downed upstairs. He tries to come out from Freezer. 3v3. Good flank watch here from Brian. Make sure no one's coming out from underneath. Sov inside. Piano has to fight his way through their own defenses now to get back towards the diffuser. Brian on the stairs below picks up 1 kill before Talon trades him out himself. 2v2. Sovs and Talon coming from the same location. Chapstick now deciding he's going to drop through the top to try and support his teammate. Jarvis is inside the site. We're looking through towards the white stairs with him. Sticking prone, sticking as static as possible, waiting the clock down. Talon pre-fires around the corner and actually gets the kill onto Jarvis, but he has to push for the diffuser as Chapstick takes down Sov. Jarvis picked off by Chap, and it's a beautiful kill for the first map, in the favor of Ominous.
A great attack from Ominous, but actually I really liked Onslaught's adaptation. They saw the way Ominous is taking that site and they completely changed it up. You saw they tried to put a castle barricade onto the cigar door, but they realized later on that that wasn't necessarily the right move. So they took it down, and because of that, Sovsov managed to get the trade back. In the end, I think that the initiative from Ominous to just push it and get that plant, because we know that there's no one close to the bomb site itself. There's nowhere to actually stop it. And because that drop was reinforced, like you said, they can't C4 from underneath. That initiative was what ended up winning them that round. And in the end, some wonderful gunplay to lock it out, but I think it would have gone either way. Even if Chapstick had died there, I don't think they would have gotten the defuse. So, yeah, it was a good round from Ominous.
So you talked earlier on with us off stream how Kafe is a European meta map. It's not a big thing for North America. North America was kind of shying away from it. But now that we're seeing these two teams play it, we're seeing very different ways to do it. This A bomb site focus is nowhere to be seen in Europe right now.
We haven't seen an A bomb site focus since Season 1, like the very beginning of Season 1. It just hasn't been around on Kafe.
Why?
Well, partially because Kafe wasn't in the pool for a while.
I mean, like, why is it now being used as A?
Because, well, okay, so we talk about I talked about points of contentions earlier, and it becomes sort of repetition with teams sometimes when they're attacking a bomb site and they realize, okay, we know where you're going to come from. We know what we have to deal with as a defensive team. We know you're going to open up the freezer wall, and then so all we have to do is play a smoke and freezer. He can smoke you out and hold a hard 90-degree angle with a shotgun and an SMG-11, and he doesn't have to worry at all. So it switched to taking cigar door and pushing into the site and trying to plant behind those wooden shelves or tables, I guess. And so the way the defensive team decided to try that is they put mirrors, or to solve that, is they put mirrors on the piano wall so that they can hold freezer a little bit harder. They don't reinforce the whole thing, and that way when people are coming from cigar, they can still have that angle from freezer into the cigar doorway, so they don't have to worry, because when the wall's open, you can't play that anymore. So that's been kind of kaput, and then so these teams, basically both these teams are just taking something completely new, and they're going, okay, we can just change it up. We don't have to worry about any of that. All of that counter-stratting, all of that, these different angles that you have to worry about that teams have refined down to a science. We're just going to throw that out the window, and we're going to go over here instead. And it's like a totally other end of the map. So like, nobody really knows what they're doing to handle that. But anyway, we are getting into the map number 2 now, Border. It is going to be, again, match point for Ominous here. If they can just lock this one map out, they are going to be going on to the next bracket. But Onslaught, they did put up a hell of a fight on that last map. It was a deceptively one-sided scoreline. I think it was 5-2. But at the same time, Ominous, they fought for every single round.
So, looking at that new fluid ideas, the new different strategies you saw there on Kafe, Border starting off very similar to what we used to hear from Onslaught. Everything is looking very familiar. Everything is looking what we've seen before, what we saw earlier in the week. The attacking operators for Ominous are, again, near identical to what we saw them using on Kafe, bar the Thermite.
Yeah, no, a lack of a Thermite on this particular, well, they know they're going to be defending Armory. Some teams try to go to different sites on certain maps first, like say, for example, in the last map we saw one team pick Train first, and we saw one team pick Upstairs first. It was the Onslaught who picked up Upstairs and Ominous who picked Train. But pretty much exclusively on this map, everyone just goes Armory first. I have seen maybe once a team go Ventilation the first round, and I think it was in Europe. But yeah, again, it's pretty commonplace that we see Armory defense first, and because of that, it is surprising that we, again, yeah, like you stated, we're not seeing a Thermite. And I have to guess that, based upon these spawns, obviously kind of gives it away. They are going to be going for an Office take here, and I think they're just imagining that they're not going to need that Thermite charge to get into Office. Now, oftentimes,
even with an Office take, you'll often see a Thermite.
Right? No, I agree with you. I think it would be prudent, maybe instead of a Hibana even. Because you only need those 2 Thermite charges, and Hibana will, yes, she will get the same job done, but not as well, really. She won't get everything done. She won't get the same big hole. But she can open up a crouch hole or even a prone hole into Office, which is not reinforced, by the way, so it shouldn't matter. And then after that, she will be able to open up lines of sight into B. There are some players from Onslaught playing in CCTV, so you have to imagine that Ominous here, they've calculated their attack here based upon those roamers. They're just like, okay, maybe we just shouldn't deal with them. I'm guessing this is probably born of scrims on this particular Office take, that is.
So We'll see how it shapes. They haven't actually reinforced the other bomb site wall. The A wall that we normally see thermited over there hasn't been reinforced at all here by Onslaught. So we'll see if they find that out and change anything about it. But they were waiting for these peaks to head on up. BC and BKM picking up the first 2 kills. Delican and Exclusive down already. As the smoke grenades are thrown towards the door, as Glaz is going to open it up. They see Ominous here spring into action. Starting to realize where the defenders are left. Sovs gets droned out and immediately shut down as he tries to reposition back after realizing he is located by the enemy team, leaving Talon and Justin alone against everyone else. Justin is below the bomb site here now, but some portions of that floor are not destructible. It's not going to be C4able if they take that diffuser into the correct spot. Let's see if they are aware of this, see if they are cautious of the possibility that there's a player below or not, and whether they plant in the right place. Even if they do lose the diffuser to the first C4 charge, may not be the end of the world. They have such a huge numbers advantage right now.
Right.
Talon inside the small office has obviously been droned multiple times and now spotted by BKN. They are pinning him in. Chap comes in with a diffuser and the smoke starts to go out. Chap not taking too much damage from it, but he will from that C4. The diffuser gets dropped and they immediately realize they have to reposition. Talon has been taken out, so the smoke is gone. Justin is the last man left alive and he's downstairs now. So they take the entire bomb, rotated away from B, and have gone to put it in the A bomb site now. Plant's going down, and while there's a camera locating his spot, it's not enough time to get there. Justin way too late to make that happen, and still now has to find 4 people, one of them being a Blackbeard, as if it wasn't hard enough. He finds Bryant and can't even win that fight. So that is round number 1 out of the bag. It was a tough fight to win, and as a result, Ominous take round number 1.
So that was an interesting round from Onslaught, mostly. The Ominous take was pretty what we would expect. It's, you know, something not necessarily new, not like what they were doing on Kafe. They were attacking offices, which is a little bit less common than just trying to push their way straight into A through the wall and through CCTV. But obviously they knew Onslaught was going to be holding CCTV, so they decided not to deal with it. But the real, I think what really cost Onslaught that round was they were just a little too antsy. You saw that Rook, he peeked up into Glass, who was just waiting. He didn't need to necessarily play that position in the first place at all. I mean, it's very common, and you know, attackers often pre-fire it or just hold the angle and wait. And then there was the Castle, who was playing in CCTV. He started to get antsy. He knew that the team wasn't going to be taking CCTV, so he started to put himself in a position to try and stop that office's take. But then he ran away with no prompting at all, and he got caught in the back.
So the Rook peeked up. Yes, he was into Glaz's spot, but he peeked up because they were peeking elsewhere. The other, I can't remember the other operator. But they timed a dual peek. They wanted to get a crossfire and try and pick people off. Now they've been droned, so Ominous were ready for it. The Castle, he went to push and went to flank into office because 2 teammates are down. He has to try and do something. His turning around and running away was because there was a drone sitting there right in front of him as he came through the wall. He went out the wall and went, oh, there's a drone, crap, shoot it, and I've been spotted. So
but when you're exposed, when you're exposed at that angle, like you moving in the same angle that you're exposed to is not going to help you. You have to reposition in a way where you're not going to be getting shot in the back. And yes, okay, I imagine you should reposition maybe, or you should just try. And if there's nowhere for you to go where you're not going to be safe, or you're going to be safe, then just try and fight out your position, because he had a defensible position in that doorway to offices. He could have feasibly held that. He just opted not to, and I think that was the wrong decision. As for the Rook, I mean, you know, it's nifty to have that time peak, but obviously, yeah, they droned it out. That was a default
camera. That's a small mistake from Onslaught. Haven't even killed the default camera, showing exactly where Sledge is coming into. Downstairs, BKN is going to be heartbeat censoring around. He, of course, can C4 up through the floor at the plant if needed later on. They use, obviously, a Valkyrie, or Onslaught used a Valkyrie to do it themselves. But Ominous going to use a pulse like we saw on Kafe. They do, however, know he's down here. They're droning to look for him. They're droning to pin him, and they're doing exactly that. But he's going to happily waste a lot of their time here, trying to keep them busy as they push this floor. More and more drones being sent his way. More and more time ticking down on the clock. So kind of alone really here on the push towards this pulse, while the rest of Onslaught are looking and sort of half probing and pushing the floors above, but
they're very
really
spread out.
Doing much. Now they seem to be doing something. You see they're all sporting towards this left side. They're all coming around towards office and the east staircase, and it does look like Sovs is just going to sit there and pin BKN into the workshop from a distance.
It's interesting the way that Onslaught is trying to handle this particular round. Ominous, instead of dealing with the roamers, simply compartmentalized their attack and tried to push in a very concise way without having to, well, exposing themselves to roamers at all. Sure, they exposed themselves to C4 from underneath, but they had such a man advantage it didn't matter. Now, Onslaught, on the other hand, they're trying to hunt down those roamers. They're going for it full force, and it's wasting a lot of time.
Brian got down by a grenade and fell through the trapdoor. Talon just dropped down there to pick him up and revive him. So now there's actually 3 Ominous players downstairs. And I'm not sure whether Onslaught have enough drones alive to know this. They droned in the site and they droned downstairs and they lost a lot of them. They're expecting 1 player down there. I'm not sure they're expecting 3. The flashbangs are coming into B. The push and the pressure is coming on through. Onslaught have Justin watching the flank, but there's 2 players coming that way now. Chapsticks takes down Sovsov. That's the first man out of the attacking team, but they have done a lot of damage to that smoke. If they can finish him off, it will be very helpful getting inside this site. 42 seconds to go, and he still has a few grenades to help pin them out there, and these 3 roamers need to start making an impact somewhere soon. Pulse is going back towards the site. We're using that heartbeat sensor from below as they're ready for the plant to come in. There's the diffuser drop now. Exclusive fall to BC. BKN takes down Delican as well, and the attack is falling apart once more here for Onslaught. They finally pick up a kill of their own onto BC. Justin getting credit for that one, as Talon Smoke is now picking up the diffuser and looking to pressure on through it deeper. Justin rushes inside the site and will be taken out by Chapstick with the SMG-11 and then the shotgun. And while Talon is now alone and he can look through the smoke grenades, he grabs the one onto Chap. Does catch a quick sight of this mirror inside the small office, but can only tag her before the time runs down, and the defenders win the round.
So I have to attribute that loss to simply trying to hunt those roamers down. As you said earlier, there were 3 roamers at one point, and they wasted a good half of the round in the beginning before there were 3, just trying to kill the 2 that were down there. And they didn't. They did not get them. They spent too much time. They didn't have anything to show for it. And ultimately, when they started pushing into the site, they had, I mean, yeah, they could have easily taken on those 2 if they knew at the time. But at that point, it was, I think it was 1 minute left. They just didn't, yeah, it just too much time wasted on roamers, not enough time spent taking the site, which is the opposite of what we saw from Ominous on that same exact attack.
So, time for Ominous to look to stretch their lead with another attack. They're already 2-0 up. Onslaught, though, will have looked and learned and taken something from that previous round. What is it? Is it enough? That is the question, as they do now look to shape up for another defense of this top floor. Ominous, once again, going without the thermite, comfortable with how that went. Let's see where and what they do with it.
I'm guessing it's likely going to be another office take, based upon, like you said, the lack of a thermite. And again, we're not seeing a Montaigne. We have not seen a single Montaigne from these either of these teams throughout this entire matchup, so it seems like both of them are pretty soundly relying on Glaz for that particular role, and it's working for, well, at least Ominous.
On this map, that doesn't surprise either, right? We talked about this with you.
It's
even though we saw
dynamic.
it, even though we saw it played here, this is a very vertical, very dynamic map in which you can easily bait Montaigne into spots where he's C4able or shootable in the back or flankable, and yeah, it was displayed in the European games, and it is being avoided for that reason.
And we're seeing from Onslaught, they're holding CCTV again. They're dedicating that same amount of utility and that same amount of manpower, seemingly, at the beginning of this round to CCTV. Now, you have to wonder if that's the right decision based upon the fact that they're, well, last time Ominous attacked this, they came from offices. Are you not expecting that again, Onslaught? Do you think they're going to mix it up? Because I really don't. Ominous is one of those teams that throughout this matchup, they have shown that they have an attack that they know works, and they roll with it. And it works. You know, they're getting those picks they need to make it work. And I really feel like, okay, yes, Onslaught, you did it. You reinforced all 3 of those walls and offices this time, so that's fantastic. But you're also still spending that utility and those people in CCTV, and I feel like they're not really achieving anything from there.
Yeah, once again, Brian downstairs watching the flank. BCC top of the stairs, as you see. BKN watching that same angle. Delican's not there this time. They did learn from that. They have adjusted slightly.
Yes.
He is still in the same B site, and he's droning and checking the cameras and stuff for the Jaeger that's close by. Here is Chapstick's job as the hit banner, getting them in, not actually to the site, getting them into the office, and this is why we say thermite would be better, because one charge does that, one charge does the bomb site.
She's going to have a line of sight, but no actual entry besides the door.
So that could be very predictable, and it's very destructible from below for the defensive team if they can make such a play. But they have to get down past Brian and past the other people watching the flank first. They are still alive for a lot longer, though. This is an interesting idea, exclusive. Killing people with an ADS is a new one for me, but he does get his gun back out now. Delican dodging away as the grenades come through. There's exclusive putting the ADS down now. It's ready to take out the follow-up grenades. Another one comes through into the corridor here from Jarvis. Does blow up on the other side of the desk and not do any damage to himself because he's hidden behind the solid wall. Smoke grenades coming through. Glaz is going to push aggressively onto this, and Exclusive has pinned himself in the corner because of it. Just in a crossover in CCTV, he gets picked out by Jarvis' pre-fire. BKN does get Exclusive after all of that. And even though it took longer to do it this time, Ominous still figured out exactly where the defenders were and are now singling them out and picking them off one by one. The smoke grenades are coming out from Talon now to try and pin them back into the office though. And with 45 seconds to go on the clock, it might actually be working this time. Delican tucked in that corner, does get a good angle on Chap and actually picks him off with the diffuser down. Looks for the next one, too greedy though. Jarvis wins that firefight and the B side is open and exposed. Talon is at a distance, he has one smoke grenade left but 30 seconds to cover. Brian's already inside the room now, it's too slow. Brian's taking damage from it, but as he pushes forward, Talon gets two actually. It's a beautiful pickup for him, holding his team into this round. Now, BKN. BC pushing on in, 2v1. Talon doesn't have any smoke grenades, he's got the SMG-11 and a shotgun. 15 seconds to go. BKN inside the site is planting. The push forward comes through. Talon takes down BC and he gets
Talon!
BKN! Talon with a 4K to hold Onslaught and get him their first round.
This pre-fire coming out from BKN in the hallway was what ended up costing them that round. If he had simply waited, there was no way that Talon could have expected him to be holding from those stairs. And ultimately, beautiful play by Talon. Like, you have to attribute that win to him entirely. But I have to feel like I can't help but feel like Onslaught or Ominous rather kind of threw that round towards the end, trying to we've got the 4-to-1 man advantage. We can just go ahead and push into the site now. We don't have to worry about anything. They exposed themselves unnecessarily. They stood in smokes, and because of that, yeah, they kind of handed that to Talon on a silver platter. Although it was fantastic play from Talon, honestly.
Yeah, so the two previous deaths, yes, but then the 2v1 at the end here,
yeah,
he played that beautifully himself. So
if Thatcher did not pre-fire, if he simply waited to see the smoke, he could have easily held out that round. He gave himself away. It's unfortunate.
Or to be fair, he didn't. Like, all he had to do was pre-fire it. It did the job, right? It scared him. It kept him off the plant. The plant was almost done. What he screwed up was then peeking in afterwards. That's when you get. If he'd have just stayed down the staircase,
pre-fire and then get a little bit safe.
Yeah, pre-fire and then just stay safe. BC's either gonna have to push you, in which case Glass finishes the plant and then kills him, or he doesn't push you and he just hides and you still get the plant done. But yeah, he peeked again and he'd given his position away and it was a free kill for Talon. Beautiful.
But I want to talk more about also that round. So that round in its entirety was Ominous's round. They played that perfectly. It was their strategy was well thought out. Onslaught, they were trying to play from CCTV at one point, and you know that works. You can open up that angle, but all that Ominous really has to do is challenge it, because they can keep themselves only exposed to the CCTV angle and win that firefight easily with their rifles. So that attack from Ominous was great. They handled it well. They pushed in slowly. They got the picks. It was very methodical, very well thought out. But it just really came down to a clutch from Talon in the end. But that's keeping them now. Onslaught. That's keeping them in this matchup because again, it is match up point, I suppose, in a sense, where if Ominous wins this, they will be pushing Onslaught down in the bracket and moving themselves forward. Just this one map.
I think that Shyvana charges are a little bit misplaced and may not be.
Oh, just barely does.
It just about work. Okay, so he can get through. But they give him a shot lane in, and Jarvis picks up the first kill onto Sov. So the attackers lose their sledge. Pushes now forward before reloading his main gun. BC takes down Exclusive. It's another attacker gone, but it's Hibana. She has done her job already, but it still leaves them in a 3v5 situation. Flank from Jarvis is looking around the corner. Momentarily, he's going to see Talon if he keeps it going. Brian's taken down to Lycan, and Ominous were not happy with losing that last round, and they are very quickly looking to get themselves back up in that 2-round lead. Justin comes around the corner, just about survives it. They do see Talon peek on in and take down BC, but he'll be flanked by Jarvis as soon as it happens, and now Justin is alone against 4. Now, we saw a 1v4 clutch from Talon before, but he's already dead, and it's time for Justin to step on up. They don't know exactly where he is by now. They did see him in passport, but he has rotated around outside and is creeping through slowly. 3 smoke grenades to play with, 1 breach around to play with, and a sightline into the bomb site itself. The diffuser is down. They do know it's down. It was spotted by Brian and Jarvis when they killed the Glaz. They are holding all the different entryways until they hear this vault. Brian didn't actually hear it, does blink around, it does see him at the last second as he sprints into the room, and Justin will fall to put Ominous back up 2 rounds, 3 rounds to 1 in total.
So Justin was going for that, alright, Onslaught's the ultimate clutch team sort of thing, but unfortunately he played it a little bit too fast. He tried to sprint onto that bandit. That didn't work for him. Now, Onslaught's take, however, is more important, I guess, in this particular instance. They tried to take from what do you call that? Teller's Visa? I'd call it Tellers. They try to take from Teller's bathroom, which is something that we don't see a whole lot of. Most teams, what they'll try to opt to do is take from above. They'll take control of Armory, same as well you would do in an Armory take, for that matter. They'll go through CCTV, move their way into Armory, and then just kind of work their way down into the site, open up the drops, get those picks through the floor. It is a fully destructible floor. And that is not at all what we saw here. And Ominous, we're clearly ready for it. I guess they were expecting Onslaught to try and take that way. And I really don't think it's the right way to handle that particular site. I think it's a new idea, maybe not new, but a different idea, a different approach. But it doesn't necessarily work when a team is conscious of the fact that you're going to be doing that. Especially, and again, this is something that we've seen time and time again with both of these teams, a lack of a thermite. So when you're going to try, when your whole strat hinges on going through a reinforced wall, yeah, you can do it with 3 Hibana charges, but you're not going to get as much maneuverability with 3 Hibana charges. You can they could have opened that entire wall with a thermite. Another thing, they didn't hold the flank from that Jaeger. He was free to just go ahead and push straight into the hallway and stop them at any time they tried to push through their little Hibana hole.
That's because they couldn't get into waiting room because of the bandit. Because they couldn't get rid of the bandit either. Because they tried to send one person that way and he died, and then they were stuck.
They needed to clamp down on that on that half of the map. They needed to take control of east stairs before they did any of, or southeast stairs before they did any of that take at all. It just was kind of a little bit loose and not contained.
That said, now Ominous are onto attack of the downstairs site themselves and have once again also brought no thermite. They're just going with the Hibana. But they have brought themselves a buck, so they are going to go for a pressure from above in a heavy fashion here. They're droning it and checking it's clear first as they pre-fire into the east stairs. Sov's realizing they're coming his way and is starting to castle himself in and dig in deep. He's got Justin up here with him, and they are going to try and two-man hold this upper floor as best they can. But as we've seen before, Ominous have been very methodical with their picks and with their clears earlier on. So now that they're starting to make this push through, now that the drones are starting to feed information to the aggressors, how long can Sov and Justin last?
So this is a little bit more similar to what we've seen before on this particular bomb site, or this take that is. And they're trying to, whereas they're trying to take above. They're not taking from CCTV, but they're taking from offices, which is what they've been doing this whole time. The only difference is the bomb site's underneath them now. So once they take above, once they get rid of these roamers, if they can, they will then just open up the floor and shoot the anchors.
So Buck starts making some holes in the wall to give an angle in towards lockers. Sovs has to fall back now because of it. BKN using his rifle to make some holes in the walls and give him another angle in towards lockers as well himself. Sees just in the end, does tag him once, gets drunked a little bit, I believe. I don't know if that shows up on Spectator at the moment.
It does sometimes.
It does, okay. So in that case, it didn't affect him.
Sometimes.
Oh, okay. So I thought it was more that he doesn't drunk sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, Justin down to the far end again, droned out, has been tagged once. Sovs tries to peek just as BKN moves away and is lucky to be alive. More and more destruction coming in, but these two are still delaying this push very well.
Ooh.
Shots coming through the wall, go down for a down. He does manage to take off the enemy without finishing off his teammate. Justin's pinned in the corner, still fighting back and forth, does get down by Jarvis. BC will come in and finish him off. So they have taken out those two upstairs, but with only 50 seconds to go now, they've got 3 more to find downstairs. They've got to pick the diffuser back up again, and they've really got to reposition this. Exclusive hiding in the toilet with a nice rotate. Talon hiding inside one of the sites with the Lycan close by. Talon gets spotted by BKM, but he can't get the kill. Now he starts to breach his way in towards the site, but Talon's rotating in there. It's another good kill, the SMG-11 onto BKN. Switching it up now into a 4v3. 30 seconds to go. Ominous looking a little bit twitchy right now as they realize they're running out of time. Smoke grenades going into the back site. Default cameras still being taken out. Up and above through the hole, Delican finds one, but he will be picked off by Brian. They quickly push on in as a 5, and just their superior numbers trading kill after kill means they will come out on top.
Yeah, and Ominous, this is something that they've been doing time and time again, and it really displays their confidence as a team, as a unit. They're very cohesive. They understand what needs to get done. Where Onslaught will rely on one person to fulfill one role and simply put them in that little island by themselves, and hopefully they succeed. And if they don't, they lose the round. Onslaught will do that. Ominous, what they've been doing is, okay, if we just throw enough bodies at it, if we just trade each other back enough, which is something what we've seen in other games before, then we will win the round because we just need to apply the pressure where it's necessary, where the defensive team isn't focused, and we apply it with, again, enough people. it's going to go our way. It's going to, because the numbers will swing into our favor. So let's say you run into, they just ran into the door in that case. Let's say you run into the door and there's only 1 or 2 people playing in that site. They're going to expect one guy, sure. They're going to expect one guy to maybe challenge that doorway. They're not going to expect a second one to follow it up. And that's exactly what we've been seeing from Anonymous time and time again. They just follow each other up. They trade each other back. There's always somebody to kill whomever killed a player on Ominous. And that's fantastic teamwork and synergy. And again, I was talking earlier on what was it, Cafe? I was talking on Cafe how they have that initiative to just go into the site, and it's working so well for them.
Ominous onto defense then of the upper floor themselves once more. Look at these numbers. Talon with that round stepping up to bring the win.
He wants to keep themselves in here.
Doing anything really, looking at the numbers there on Onslaught. They're trying their best. They've got some ideas in mind, but everything they're trying, Ominous has an answer for. The only thing they didn't was, as I said, Talon stepping up into 1, and that scoreboard reflects it. So we'll see if they can change that in this attack.
This is reminiscent of a matchup that I'm familiar with from past teams, is Orbit GG versus Flipside. And what we would see often in that matchup was Orbit GG would just go and do something spontaneous, similar to Ominous. And Flipside, being a very strategic team, very strategy-based team, they just wouldn't be able to adapt in time. Now, that's probably not what we're going to see from the flip side of this day and age. I'm guessing they've probably made the necessary changes to move on from that. But that's what we're seeing here in this matchup, Ominous versus Onslaught. Onslaught, they have their strats. Like you said, they have their plans. They're just not working for them. And Ominous, all they're doing to counter them really is just applying themselves, having patience, and then using their initiative when it's necessary, just running into the site or pushing something all together as a team and being very compartmentalized. And it's working for them.
So, as we do start to see the pressure once again coming in towards the site, Talent making holes on the wall, locking these Ominous players into spots they can't really move from. They know, each one of them knows if they step out from their little angles, they step out from these little spots, there's going to be someone from Onslaught watching them. Delican on the air conditioning vents. Talon repelling on the east balcony. Justin is outside droning, but he's the man with the diffuser. They're just trying to make sure they know exactly where each one is before they go on in. They do now have sightlines on 2 players inside the office. He is going to Hibana the rest of the wall open to a point where they can vault on through. Lycan still on the air conditioning unit, still 5v5 at the moment with a minute 10 on the clock going through. When they push into this office, they got to do it quick and they got to do it fast, or they're going to run out of time to get the bomb down afterwards anyway. Grenades are looking to take out the castle barricades. Doesn't quite get it done. Next one goes on down as Exclusive. His team killed Talon, and it is not a good start for them. Castle barricade does go down this time from Sovs, but they are 1 grenade down now. Does miss the smoke by milliseconds. Does miss the bandit as well, but Justin will take him out from behind instead. Justin, though, finished off by Chap now from inside the site, and Jarvis, the other man inside the office, has taken out Sovs. Exclusive chase Jarvis back, but Delican's on the east balcony, and Chap has taken down the last Thatcher inside. Delican is now 1v3 to keep Onslaught's dreams alive here, or they will be falling down to the loser side of the group. Chapstick finished off Exclusive. BC trades onto the Lycan. BKN is now going to peek on out. He's full health, and that is map 2 and the entire series to Ominous in a lot more of a convincing scoreline than I think anyone expected.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate that, but I think it really came down to, again, Onslaught, very strategic. Ominous, they're constantly trading each other back. So they got that pick onto the bandit playing in offices, but they didn't expect Jaeger to be playing that same exact position, and he managed to trade back. Not only that, but Chapstick also, he killed the person who killed Bandit, I believe. So it's a case of Ominous just being in position to... they're setting themselves up where they know the enemy's going to be coming from on defense, and they're just putting their bodies on the line. And then when they die, they're confident, they know their teammate is going to be ready to kill the guy who killed them, just trade it back. And a lot of teams actually put themselves in that position. It's surprising somewhat in Pro League how many teams are not focusing on trade backs, focusing on, okay, he killed me, now you need to kill him to keep it balanced out. Oftentimes, they'll put a player in a position similar to what we saw from Onslaught. They'll put a player in a position where, like, okay, we need to hold offices, so you stay in offices and you hold it. And if you die, you die, and that's that. And we'll move to the next tier of our defense, which is now we need to hold the B site. And it didn't work for Onslaught.